Under Night 2 just recently released, and coming with this new release is a couple new characters, one of them being Kaguya. Since launch, I've basically only been playing Kaguya, and I wanted to make a quick guide explaining how I kind of approach the character, what her good normals are, some basic combos, just some basic understanding of the character to get you guys going. Just a quick disclaimer for this guide that this is how I see the character and how I like to play her. There could be different playstyles that surface up at a different time, but for now, this is what I am doing with the character. Also, if you've been playing Kaguya and you're looking for a more advanced Oki mix-up guide, that will be coming later down the line. So let's start off by talking about Kaguya. She is a mid-range character, but also has some full-screen options and has some Oki options. So she has some decent buttons to play this mid-range area, but she can also fully zone from full screen. She has a 236C that's plus unblock. She has a 66C that's plus unblock, both of them hitting full screen. She also has some grenades she can throw out that can provide some tricky setups and mix-ups. So she does overall have a variety of tools, which makes her really fun in my opinion. She also has her force function as a spot dodge, which you can do a close follow-up and a full screen follow-up. This one cannot be ducked like the normal laser, which can help her play a more defensive playstyle. I personally like playing her pretty defensively. She has 4B, which is an insane anti-air. We'll get more to that soon. And her buttons are pretty quick. This 5C is a 10-frame button, really good at whiff punishing. So the way I like to play her is a bit more defensive, anti-airing, reacting, whiff punishing. And then when I do have full screen, I can send out some 66Cs, some lasers, some plus frames, and go from there. Our grenade Oki doesn't really exist in the mid-screen, but in the corner it really shines. She can go for meterless grenades as well as metered grenades to get some nice little mix-ups. Along with her full screen options and Oki, she has some nice stagger pressure options. You can 4AA with the 5A, you can stagger a 5B, you can stagger a 2C into a 5C. Gonna keep your opponent really guessing on your offense. It feels good to do, and she has lots of options to keep her turn as well. You can even side swap on block using some 3C follow-ups. It's very nice. So if you've listened to all this and you're still watching and you're still interested in the character, then let's get into a bit more detail on each of her moves. Kaguya's 5A is a pretty nice button in my opinion. You can 4AA it on block to stagger with it, which is really nice. It's not a low like her 2A, but being able to save your 2A rebeat later is really nice compared to a 5A rebeat where the frame advantage is 1 frame better if you use 2A instead of 5A. So starting your offense with 4AA can be very nice. Kaguya's 2A is a bit better for pressure than her 5A. It is very nice to have a staggerable low, and Under Night can blow up a lot of option selects. But as I mentioned earlier, it's also very good as a rebeat. So 5BB rebeat, 2A rebeat, 2C rebeat, all -2, which is very nice. So 5A, good to start pressure. You can also go into 2A. It is up to you whether you want to save the button for the rebeat later, or if you want to threaten with staggerable lows. Kaguya's 5B and 5BB are very nice buttons. They are whiff cancelable, which is pretty cool. Also, pretty good rebeat frame data on 2A, -2. This 5BB will also automatically frame trap by itself. You don't need to do a delay button or anything, which is pretty nice. You can also delay the gap a lot, so it has a massive stagger window. You can really keep your opponent guessing and then go for a rebeat or not and keep up the pressure with other buttons. Can even do a stagger into another stagger. So Kaguya's 2B is a button that confuses a lot of people because the horizontal range on it isn't that amazing, but that's not actually the purpose of the move. The purpose of the move is to catch people jumping, and you can see that it actually hits really high up. So on counter hit, you can do some things like this and get a nice conversion. So this is how you should be using the button. If you want to use it in a block string, it actually does have a pretty nice stagger window on it. You can use it early in a block string, but if you space yourself out too far, then it's not going to connect. Kaguya's 5C is definitely one of my favorite buttons that she has. It does look like she's retracting her hurt box, but she actually doesn't. It is a 10-frame button, which is very nice for a C button. It has quite a bit of range. It does hit upward as well, but there is actually a dead zone in the middle that can whiff on people. but you can see that it hits high up as well. Would not recommend using it as an actual anti-air. The way I like to use this button is as a whiff punish, which is very nice in my opinion. We can see here against this Byakuya 2B, I can whiff punish and go into a 3C, and I actually get a full follow-up. Now it is worth mentioning that sometimes you will be too far away for this 3C to connect, and at that range you want to use 236C. You can also use it in general pressure if you just want to space yourself out and reset to neutral. Has pretty good rebeat frame data as well. Kaguya's 2C is a pretty sweet button. Frame 9 double hitting low, which is very nice. You can even rebeat both hits on block. Both rebeats are -2. Very cool to have. Can even frame trap into a 5C if timed correctly, which is very nice. Also, if the 2C connects, even on a rebeat, you can actually press 2C again and get a combo, even without a counter hit. Never really bad to use in offense. Kaguya 4B is probably my favorite button that she has. It is at least 6 frames head invuln, which I believe is the fastest normal in the game to have head invuln. I think the other fastest one is Orie's 3B with 7 frames. It's very nice to have on 4B as well, because you're already stand blocking and you can just tap 4B as like a trigger finger button. You see them jump, you're already stand blocking, you just tap 4B, get a nice counter hit if they decide to press something. And even on non-counter hit, you can actually jump up and combo. The button is actually jump cancelable, even though it kind of doesn't look like it. On block, this is not a move I would recommend using. It's not going to really lead into anything. You can't cancel it. It's -8 on block. There is not really a reason you want to use this in a block string. Kaguya 6E is, in my opinion, one of her best pressure tools. You can use it very well to get back in on offense, and you cannot special cancel it into air dashes on block, but you can into Rekka. And 236A is very nice for covering anybody trying to mash here. The gap here is automatically 1 frame. It also beats people mashing throw, and even if they shield here, it would normally make the gap from 1 frame to 4 frames, right? But because strike and throw are hitting on the same frame, the strike will win. So even if they try to throw you here, I fucked it, then you will beat the throw. Would also like to quickly mention that you can space it out to be less minus on block than it normally is. But this is kind of inconsistent. You can make it plus, but it's pretty hard. It's also a very good shimmy tool against a multitude of OS options. And on hits, you can cancel into air dash, which can give you a nice combo. You can see it even low crushes underneath 2As. It's very nice for that. Really great shimmy tool. Can also be air unblockable and beat 171s. And it will, of course, go over people trying to throw. It is 18 frame startup, so be careful about just running up to somebody and sitting in their face and then doing it. It is 18 frames, so a quick mash will get you out of there. The last normal to cover of hers is 3C. You do have a couple of options when the move is blocked. You have the A follow-up, which is normally gapless and will side swap. You can use 236C afterwards to keep your pressure going. 3CB, normally frame traps, unless you are spaced out at a certain distance, it will not give you the gap. So for right here, for example, right, it will give me the gap, but here it will not. You can special cancel this, but only on hit, so you can get a combo. If this does get blocked, you can also 236C to keep your turn going. 3CC is a grenade set. This is extremely unsafe. Even if you EX grenade, it is not going to be great for you. I would not recommend basically ever doing this follow-up. She also has forward and back follow-ups, which can get you away from people trying to punish certain things. So this follow-up, for example, is -6, and this follow-up is -10. So you'll see that Byakuya 5A, just mashing 5A, will punish both of those options. But if I roll, I can actually get out before the F5A connects. Even though this roll is technically -22, I believe. Yeah, -20. They're quite minus. Because of the way she's moving, she will actually escape fairly quickly. So you do have to be careful of bigger buttons. For example, Byakuya 2B will catch you trying to get out. Counter hit recovery as well. But if that does happen, you can frame trap as well. They do have to mash pretty quickly to catch this escape. So you want to mix up your options and keep the opponent guessing. This is not really a button I would super recommend to actually do as a pressure mix-up, but in situations where you do 5C, 3C on a whiff punish attempt and it gets blocked, you want to know your options, and this is where I would recommend using it the most. You can also use it in corner pressure situations. If you just want to get the corner back, you can do something like this. Get out of the corner and keep your turn going, which is very nice. Kaguya 66B is an advancing low. Does have some pretty... It starts off at 10 frames, but at a meaningful distance, it does take a while to get there. When spaced out, can actually be plus, but at lots of distances is actually fairly safe. You can combo off of this hit if it's spaced out correctly, which is pretty cool. You can 2A pick up. You can even pick up with BDP, because if you're close enough, you won't have time to pick up. But this is not something I'd recommend doing. If you're going to use 66B, I would recommend not canceling it and seeing your options afterwards. You can immediately 236A as well if you want a frame trap, which is good to have if you are using it on somebody who is close up to you. 66C is probably Kaguya's most well-known move. It is a full screen laser that is +9 on block. Really fun to use. It is 24 frame startup. Ideally, your opponent should be reacting to this and shielding or rolling it. But in certain situations, it can be really good to throw out. I like doing EX Gunshot into 66C. You can even use this with Chain Shift, and it actually leaves you extremely +40. So you can use this as a kind of get in. You can actually see that this IAD JB is gapless. Can also be CS canceled on whiff, which is pretty cool. Could use this as a safe meaty, where you can CS on block, and if they block it, you get to take your turn, and you can block DPs. But it is 24 frame startup, so doing it on reaction to wake up is not really feasible. So Kaguya's special moves, her 236A is a little Rekka. It can frame trap. You can frame trap on multiple hits, like this. You only really get a combo if you spend meter. You can technically combo meterless in the corner on the third hit counter hitting. This is generally not going to give you combo unless you have meter. You're going to be doing this a lot if you're doing 6C on block. So be ready to convert. While Kaguya 236A is only really used for close pressure, 236B is used for full screen presence. The first shot does actually go underneath, or over crouchers, I should say, which is a bit unfortunate. The second shot will hit mid, but it is pretty slow and also quite minus. I would not personally... I don't like doing the second gunshot, personally. I think it doesn't really get you a lot. It leaves you pretty minus, and it has a lot of startup. So if they crouch underneath the first one, they can actually punish you before that second one comes out, which can be pretty scary. I like doing 236B into immediate 236C like this, which should cover a lot of things, especially at full screen. I do like doing 236B just by itself like this. Can stop players from trying to do things at full screen. Not going to get you a lot of reward just doing this single shot, but if you do have meter, depending on the hit, you can hit confirm into it, or you can just let it rip like I like to do. It does leave you +9 with the 236C, which is very nice. So Kaguya's 2-4s are her grenade series, which bounce around the screen and end up at different places. I wouldn't really recommend using them in neutral too much. You can throw them full screen, but they don't go that far. Can also use them to jump around. I think it's actually better to use them as an extra air option than it is to genuinely get the grenades out. But in some matchups where the opponent character can't really stop you from throwing them out, there's not really a bad reason to throw these out. Like Byakuya, for example, cannot do a ton about me being full screen throwing out grenades. They're not going to get me a lot, but it doesn't hurt me a lot to go for them. So you can throw them out like this, but generally you want to save them for some Oki. So if you want some Blockstrings to get yourself going with Kaguya, here are some I would recommend. And then you can keep going from there. What's really nice about this string is the 4A starter will allow you to hold on to your 2A. which means you can go for a -2 rebeat, which is really nice. You can do this -2 rebeat on 5BB. You can do it on 2C, both hits of 2C, and you can do it on 5C. You can also start with a 2A if you want to stagger some lows, go into 6C, do some Rekkas to keep pressure up. It's up to you whether you want to end your block string with a 6C Rekka for some more frame traps, or you can also just 5C rebeat and retreat back to neutral. Depending on the matchup, it's going to be better to do one or the other. The 2A pressure is nice for beating people when you need to strike throw them. The 5A pressure will keep you locked down. So I'd say mix up between using the 5A starter with the staggers and the 2A staggers as well. It is up to you which one you want to use. It's also not a bad thing to rebeat with 5A. The animation is just a bit more noticeable, and the frame data is slightly worse. But it's okay no matter which one you use. When you're doing these block strings, if your opponent gets hit, you're going to want to convert to some combo damage. So here is a basic combo you can do off of almost any hit. And on Assault, you want to do JA-JB instead of J2C-JB, because otherwise it will drop. So if you want to be stable, you can always just do JA-JB here, and then go for your Ender. For your combo Enders in the mid-screen, you pretty much always want to end in ADP, as it will provide good corner carry, and Grenade Oki in mid-screen does not really exist. You can also end in EXDP if you want some extra corner carry and you want to spend some meter. In the corner, this is the combo you want to do. It is very consistent and works on almost every hit, and you can set up Oki as well. This combo even works on throw. If you're wondering how you can convert on a bit more of weirder hits, say a non-counter hit 4B, you can jump in the air and you kind of just want to do an air dash into an IC-JC. And from there, you can stabilize into your ground ender. If you're ever panicking, do an air dash into IC-JC. You can also combo off of 6XB using your same mid-screen combos. Just wait for your opponent to get to you, and then you can go for the same combo you always do. In the corner, you pretty much always want to end in some sort of grenade Oki rather than doing the DP for the damage and corner carry, because you're already in the corner. So you can end in 3C B1 and to 214A. This will leave you -2 when you land, but the grenades are out to help you keep the pressure up. They can try and dash out, you can go for a dash block, and you can kind of keep them in the corner. So if they try to wake up and press a button, they will get smoked for it. This is kind of a base Oki situation you can go for. It is not going to give you the craziest mix-up, but it is very safe to do, and no one can really punish you. Against characters without DPs, you can actually do a B grenade Oki setup, and that will let you safe jump a lot of slower reversals. So if I put Byakuya here to 2-3-6C on wake up, I can meaty with a jump JB and be safe from his reversal. This actually does beat all of Byakuya's reversal options, so against a character like Byakuya or Chaos or Hilda who don't really have these reversals, I would actually recommend always going for this Oki setup, and then this will allow you to go for some mix-up as well. Now once you do have your opponent blocking some grenades is when you can go for some cheeky throw or grenade mix-ups. If you are doing 214A, you can actually throw them before the grenades hit because you are -2. But if you do have them blocking grenades in general, you can go for an Assault JA, which will combo because of the grenades. You can go for an empty Assault into 2A. You can go for an air dash into a high-low. You can go for a Assault into an air dash and then do a high-low. So you do have a plethora of options here you can go for. You can use this Assault to delay an empty landing if it looks like you're going to empty low. You can set up a variety of things here. You can even go for a TK Assault JCJA, which would be a double overhead. So it's kind of up to you with what you want to go for. These options are all reactable, and you can block them in time. But there is some more advanced mix-ups you can go for. I will be making a guide on those. If you want to see some more gameplay of the character, you can watch me play on Twitch and YouTube live. Those VODs are saved on the YouTube channel as well. So if you want to see her in action, go for it. But I hope this guide was useful. I highly encourage you guys to play her. She's a lot of fun. And I will see you guys for the Oki video.